Well, good evening, internets. It's me, DP Knudten, for another edition of Bookward Bound, my 301-day journey from I should really do this to done. And what is that done? Well, that done is the creation of a brand new book for 2021 that I'm going to upload to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing platform, where I will self-publish it. And I'm going to do that on January 1st of 2021. That's the day that my press-ready PDF files will be put up there for the final mile of that whole thing. Hold on, I gotta turn off. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm monitoring, making sure that my live stream is going out, and it started playing back on Facebook Live, because I am going out on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch right now. So if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and type it into the comment box, hit return, and if I've got everything configured correctly, which is always an issue, I'll be able to answer your questions in real time. But in the meantime, I've got to get this book cooking, because guess what? January 1st, 2021 is coming up kind of fast, if you think about it from the point of view of a book that has to be written. And I've got plenty of writing yet to do. So every night I come down here and I write some. I might do some editing. I might do some designing or mind mapping and concept creation, stuff like that. But tonight I think I'm going to take advantage of the fact that earlier today I had a really great podcasting session with Andy Crestodina of Orbit Media Studios in Chicago, Illinois. And if you know anything about Andy Crestodina, you should know that he's really, really smart, and he shares a ton of valuable information. And we had a great conversation, and I want to capture some of his ideas, because as you'll recall, if you were watching last night, I'm actually writing a section about Andy in the book. In fact, you can see it right here in Scrivener, where right there is where you write the book, and over here, these are all the sections in the book. Well, that's Andy right there. Good old Andy. And I've already written a lot in the book, but the conversation today had some great stuff that I want to talk about. Like, I'm not going to talk about this at all, because we didn't really talk about that, but I do want to say his blogging. And you be sharing more best intellectual property. Andy says yes, exclamation point. All right, so we had this great conversation at the end of the first episode of 2 episodes that we recorded today. And I actually need to make this a section header and then do this. And I think what I'm going to do now is show you how you can use otter.ai, which I've been messing around with. I've just been trying it to import. And again, I'm using a free account because I'm a cheap ass rat bastard. And I'm going to open up the files that Zoom recorded of our session today. And normally I would have the whole mix done and all that stuff, but I'm going to grab Andy's track and have it go ahead and transcribe all of Andy's words, because we don't need mine so much as done. Conversation is processing. Notify me. So it's going to do its churn and burn on the server in the cloud and come back with a transcript for me. Audio only. See right there, processing conversation. This is where this audio file will pop up when it's done. And I'm doing this because I want to take part of the conversation we had and plug it into this section of the book. And maybe I should have and probably I will when I do this on the weekend and actually edit the episode, the first episode, I'll probably redo this again in Descript, which is another transcription thing. But I want to. I'm testing out Otter AI just to see how good it is and how accurate it is versus Descript.com, which is another great, transcription service. I like it so much I actually paid for it. Crazy, huh? Anyway, let's get back to, while this churns and burns its way through trying to figure out what Andy was actually saying, I'm going to do some more writing over here. During a recent podcasting record with Andy, we stumbled upon a subject on that we didn't come to complete agreement about. Why? Because I still have an old school tendency to hoard my very best thinking when it comes to intellectual property. You can hear the entire conversation in episode, I think it'll be number 111 in Nonfiction Brand episode. Episode number 11. But here's Andy's really interesting answer and position as expressed his own words. And that'll be the quote from him. I might delete all this stuff, but we'll leave it for now. I'm just gonna highlight it because I think I'm gonna delete it, but I'm such a lazy typist that getting rid of keystrokes hurts me. I mean, seriously hurts me. So I'm not going to get rid of those keystrokes until I know for sure that I'm done with that section. Okay, hold on. Here. Words. Okay, this is still going. Processing conversation, which is fine. All right, going back to Scrivener. How many words? We got 1,043 right now. We're gonna lose, let's see, how many will we lose right here? 128. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all that almost for sure, almost for certain. So Just tightening up some stuff. Boom, boom. Bad edge there. I'm going to fix that later. Well, let me read through this section, see where we're at. And one of the things I do when I proof and edit a section is, in order to get out of my head, I get into my mouth because I read it aloud. One of the things that happens when you're a writer is that if you write your own copy and then you edit your own copy, conversation detail is updated. Come on, are you there with me yet? No, it's not done yet. Anyway, if you're doing it yourself and you're not printing it out so you get a different point of view on the copy, the best thing you can do is read it aloud, word for word, because every time you stumble, every time you go, every time you essentially stub your verbal toe, that's an indication that you need to smooth things out. You need to get out some sandpaper and get rid of the offensive word combination that kind of hangs you up. And sometimes it's related to tempo, sometimes it's related to pauses, sometimes it's related to bad alliteration or bad rhyming, or it just doesn't feel right. And the only way to find that out is to read it aloud. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, hold on. Just got the Andy stuff. Let's go. Oh, it's still processing more of the conversation. It's going to take a while. So I'm going to read through this section. And sorry, but I'm going to do it right in front of you. The internet is great because it gives everyone around the world who's online their very own printing press, radio station, and TV network. The internet is crap because it also gives everyone online their very own bathroom stall wall upon which to smear their, what's another word, opinions. Just to smear their opinions. Opinion. There's a lot of garbage out there, which is why I'm so delighted when I find someone who eschews the effluent and embraces the extraordinary. And that person, to me, is best exemplified by a guy named Andy Crestodina. He's a fantastic example of what I call personal branding under an umbrella. His umbrella, the umbrella is his company, Orbit Media Studios in Chicago, Illinois, USA. But the personal brand, but his personal brand is 100% Andy. I've had the pleasure of seeing him speak a couple of times, and I got to say, he always brings the heat and the metrics kindling that sets the entire presentation on fire. But he's no dry, boring click counter or airy-fairy high priest of ungrounded concept. He's something in between that always convinces, inspires, and, my favorite word, provokes. Just today, I gotta say, a while back, he posted a new blog post. He posted, yeah, he did. It was a new blog at the time. He posted a new blog about the value of adding video to your content strategy. Andy is one of my top 5 follows for a reason. He always brings the math. Where others, myself included, are heavy on opinion and light on data, he always serves up a long, tall glass of tasty information with a convincing metrics chaser. The post below is no exception. Everybody's been saying that video is the king of content online. A declaration like that just ain't good enough for the Andy. He just can't help himself. He's got to prove it via numbers. This dude has always blinded me with data science, and this blog post does not disappoint. Blah, 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 blah. As you can read, it's another great job for the Andyroid. Had I not met him in person, I'd swear he was part of an advanced party prepping for the arrival of our AI overlords, whom I, for one, welcome. But he's not. He's a guy who has clearly created a purposeful strategy to boost his personal brand in a way that does not, in a way that does the same for his company's brand. And when you really get down to it, is there a difference? Mark Schaefer in his, I want to say 2018. His 2019 book, in his book Marketing Rebellion, makes a compelling argument for the idea that the personal brand is the company brand. If Mr. Schaefer is looking for a poster boy for this concept in action, I'd like to direct him to Andy. Were I a client of Orbit Media Studios, I'd expect the company to walk, talk, research, execute, assess, and implement exactly like Andy Crestodina. Anything less would be a letdown. Fast forward to September of 2020, and the bloggy data goodness continues with his 7th annual State of Blogging report. Now, of course, the blog I've just gushed about first is all about adding the power of video to your content strategy. But that really points out the incredible power of Andy's original content creation strategy, his bi-weekly written blog. Your content mix. Power of video to your content mix. Content creation mix. Your content mix. The power of Andy's number one content creation channel. His bi-weekly written blog. Bi-weekly. Well, a blog is always written, right? Think about it. Andy's become a big name in the digital content creation woods, not via video or audio or video, but through the disciplined application of the written word. His book, Content Chemistry, the Illustrated Handbook for Content Marketing, is the closest thing I can point to as the Bible on the subject. And apparently I'm not alone, as it is in its fifth best-selling edition. If you don't have a copy, you need to get one. You'll learn something and be inspired to actually do it on every 10th page or every second page or so. It really is that good. If you ever get to meet Andy in person and you've read the book or his blog, you'll see that he is exactly the person you thought he'd be. That's because he exemplifies the nonfiction brand philosophy of know who you are so you can be it. Quite frankly, the dude never disappoints. I've already said never disappoints. Defines authenticity. And even if I initially disagree with one of his points, I know I'm going to be questioning my point of view on the subject for at least a week and then probably end up agreeing with his stance. That's the very best kind of input and why I value what he writes so much. Speaking of disagreeing with one of his positions, during a recent podcasting session, recent non-fiction brand podcasting session with Andy, we stumbled upon a subject that we didn't come to complete agreement for, that we didn't come that we didn't completely agree about. That we didn't completely agree about. Why? Because I still have an old school tendency to hoard my very best thinking when it comes thinking think so highly of it, I obnoxiously refer to it as intellectual property. You can hear this isn't in his own words. Amazing tools. Oh, this is great. And this is why I wanted someone else to transcribe it. That's a long paragraph. So I can plug it in here, and I'll have to make some corrections undoubtedly. All right, I don't know. I don't. You can't really hoard knowledge anymore. It's like way past that era. Also, that friend of yours, you and I both know him very well. Using that, using we're gonna say my framework he's using my framework to offer a service that doesn't cost me anything. Not at all. There's no risk or harm to me. I'm not competing for those same clients. I'm really not even offering that as a service. So did it add value to the world? Yes. Was there a cost to me? No, not really. Did that take anything away from what I do? No. So every time I had that feeling like, wow, am I really going to share this one? I don't want to talk about this. I mean, every time, I mean, it's like the most valuable thing I've ever learned. That's when you're on the right track. That's the moment. That's the moment, comma. That's exactly the thing that you should publish. Put an ellipsis in there. That thing you think is secret, which, by the way, isn't secret anyway. Great. It's already out there. Someone else has published it. Just go search for it. You'll find a version of it probably on YouTube. That's a good paragraph break. So it's kind of marketing. So it's kind of that marketing is a test of generosity. See, I love that. And the most generous marketer and brand wins. Think of it that way. You should be in a rush. You should be hustling to give away all your best advice, all the best advice we have, because that's our only currency. That's the only chance of catching catching any sort of attention or loyalty. That's the game we're actually playing. That's the game we're actually playing. It's to win a generosity contest. I gotta make these all italicized. Cool. I can't tell you how much I love the potency. Let's see. Is you. It quite literally hit me upside the head and has been making me reconsider some of the bedrock assumptions I've made about what I do ever since the words came out of his mouth. That's power. That's power. It's power. And value. Freely shared by a really good guy. See what he did there? He demonstrated exactly who he is, what he does, and how he does it in just 254 words. And none of those words were about his services, or pricing. His services pricing, past client, past clients, industry awards, or let's just go or industry awards. He showed me only is, but why I should select him, and by extension his company for any appropriate services I or anyone I know might need. Content cascade I've already written about elsewhere, so I can get rid of that and get rid of highlighting. You want to be considered. Forget Andy's wise advice. Marketing is a test of generosity. Marketing is a test of generosity. Generous getter brand. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like that very much. And that's 17 words. Yeah. So one of the cool things, hold on, I'm going to convert this icon to a blue for, I think this section is done. Because I don't think I'm going to pull. I've got 2 photo and a couple of screenshots. I need to correct this screen. Get rid of some of that edge there. I think I can do that by book graphics. Andy Crestodina shot. Here one. Not. Need to open this up. Very quickly go. We'll do a file, save as. Save it as a best quality JPEG. Crop. Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Make sure get all of that. Crop. Save W. Grab the crop GS. Pull it in here. Drag and drop beautifully, I might add. So $294. That's close to 300 DPI. So I'm okay with that. And Bazinga. I think that section's looking good. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, I do think that section's looking good, so I may be hanging up this for this evening. I'm just checking to see if anyone's sending me notes. Say hello if you're watching. Just say hello. Sorry. Winter is coming, and chapstick, or actually Burt's Bees, is my only defense against the White Walkers. I think that might be it for this section. Feeling good about it. I like that quote. Digging it very much big time. And I just want to double check to make sure that this weekend I will be editing episode. Ooh, I'm not going to do Paul. Sorry. Paul, you're going to be episodes 13 and 113 and 114. This will be Andy Crestodina. Because his stuff just came out, so that'll be timely. That'll help him. And that's a good thing to do. He's given me a lot of help and a lot of kindness and a lot of his time. So I want to reward him by making him look as good as I possibly can by having him on my podcast. That's one of the reasons I do it. It's seldom that I can do favors for people because I'm not a powerful individual. But my podcast gives me a certain amount of power, and I can use that for good. So I'm going to do it wherever I can by making other people who I think are really, really valuable meet other people, i.e. my listeners, who need to be exposed to these really, really great people. And it's a virtuous cycle of goodness. You know, I help them look great, find a new audience. My audience now sees my podcast as being more valuable. Consequently, they refer other people to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can see it's just this cycle of goodness. Well, that's the reason I do this podcast. It's certainly not because of the big dollars I get for sponsorships. Yeah, you'll notice that the only sponsor of this podcast is me and my properties. Yeah, that's part of it, you know, but that's okay because this is all about getting my personal brand out there in a true nonfiction brand way, which is there's no better way for me to demonstrate who I am, what I do, and how I do it than right now, right here via these live streams and via my Nonfiction Brand podcast, which, by the way, comes out every single Monday. And you'll definitely want to check out next Monday's Nonfiction Brand podcast because it features Andy Crestodina, who I was just writing about. And it actually features that quote that I just plugged into the book as well. So definitely check that out wherever you get fine podcasts for free, including Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. They just added podcasts and it's listed there. Stitcher, or any, like I use Overcast. You can look it up via Overcast and you'll find the Nonfiction Brand podcast simply by looking for this image. Not necessarily the whole book, but that center band where it says Nonfiction Brand with my black and white photo. If you see that, then you have in fact found my podcast. And I would love, love, love for you to like, subscribe, refer it to other people, but most of all, review it wherever you get your podcast because that really helps other people find it. I thank you in advance for that help, and I certainly hope that you'll check out the podcast. I'm DP Knudten, and I will see you tomorrow night working on the same damn thing. But until then, theme music, take us on out. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.